I, Sakshi Yadav, from Computer Science and Engineering Department, would like to extend you a very warm welcome on behalf of Medicaps University, Indore. Medicaps University is a brand name in the arena of technical education. With a strong foundation of the group since 15 years, University wishes to maintain the same objective of imparting quality education and producing sound professionals for the benefit of the society at large. Faculty development programs, webinars, workshops, and faculty exchange program are few initiatives of Medicaps University to bring up our student to global market expectations. Today, Department of Computer Science and Engineering Club offers for an expert session on cloud database. We are having an esteemed speaker, Mr. Shailendra Kumar Tiwari, Principal Consultant in SA Technology, Bangalore. Sir is close to 13 years of corporate experience and have worked for various big MNCs like TCS, Cognizant, HP, etc. He is having strong hold in financial domain as he has worked with multiple investment banks and managed their database globally. It is pleasure to welcome you, sir, of the session. During webinar, audience are allowed to answer directly by unmute the mic only when the resource person throws any question, or you can put your questions in the chat box for smooth conduction of the session. As there will be a separate question answer round at the end of the session. Moving ahead, I would like to invite Mr. Shailendra Kumar Tiwari to begin the session. So,
Uh, just before that, madam, let me welcome.
yes, sir.
I'm Dr. Suresh Jain. On behalf of University and Department of Computer Science, I welcome today's speaker, Mr. Shailendra Tiwari. And madam has already briefed her profile. He is having vast experience in the field of cloud computing, and the domain is financial area, which is always in limelight in the industry. If you see computer technology, so it started from file processing system, then there exists some new databases came. So started from COBOL, then FoxPro kind of database, then came Oracle, and today we talk about cloud. So the whole computer science, if you see, database is the key which is driving the whole economy of the world. And today we have eminent speakers. So I welcome Mr. Shailendra Tiwari to share his experiences with the audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sakshi, and thank you so much, Dr. Suresh. It's my pleasure to have here. And yes, definitely, before I begin with the session, I would just like to tell you about, for example, I hope everybody would be safe. People would have vaccinated, right? I know it was not easy in the starting, but it's like IRCTC, right? You keep on trying and you will definitely get it. Okay. So let me set the agenda, because see, AWS or cloud computing, my voice is clear to everyone, right? Sakshi, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, perfect. So see, in terms of world, if I talk about, right, cloud computing and cloud database, it's very big, right? But what would be beneficial for most of the people that I have came to know about from Sakshi and Sanket is basically, it's like, where am I fitting? Which database should I choose, or where should I do the certification, or where I could see more jobs coming up, right? That would make more sense to most of the people here. So that's why I have created these things, mostly keeping those things in mind. Okay. So to be very specific, let's start with just a second. So to understand that, first let's understand, like Dr. Suresh was sharing, right? Database, it's like, it's there since ages, right? And why we needed this, because it's heart of everything that you do. Jahan bhi jaoge na, to be very specific, everywhere you need this. whether you are into banking, whether you need into any IT, whether you need into any government things, everyone some saves data. And to, let's say, for example, if I'm into banking, I need to retrieve the data, right? So database nothing like basically, or it's a structured way of keeping, like for example, you can keep your schemas, tables, queries, right? This is just that information that I want, that I have kept somewhere safe, right? And in that, now I have the data, but how can I retrieve it? There comes the picture of DBMSs. There are so many vast DBMS, but it's like basically you can understand when I want to modify anything. For example, in banking domain only, right? Let's say I have taken out some of the money, right? So it needs that. For example, I need ATM. If I'm retrieving the money using ATM needs to go somewhere and retrieve that. Okay, this buddy has, or this person has taken out 1,000 or 2,000 amount of money from that. So it will update the data. Now, apart from that updation also, there are so many things. For example, retrieval, updation, then it should be faster also. We will discuss later on most of the things. But in terms of basic, I know that most of the people would be knowing about databases, because you can only make sense more here when you understand the basics, right? And in terms of DBMS, if I talk about, there are so many. If I talk about, like, for example, Dr. Suresh was saying, right, it started around 1970s, right? So 1970s, we have seen so many people coming up. For example, if I talk about one of the prominent which is being used is Oracle, right? It's highly worldwide used. Oracle, then your Microsoft SQL Server. I think currently, if I talk about, MySQL has even surpassed the Microsoft SQL Server also in terms of usage. I'm talking about, right? And we have Postgres. Similarly, we have very, like for example, IBM DB2, then Sybase, SAP HANA. There are multiples. Every DBMS engine has certain advantages, certain disadvantages. Certain runs on best on Unix flavors, certain runs best on Windows. So it all depends upon where I'm going, right? Now, apart from that, this DBMS, if I talk about, is there comes main important things, which is something called RDBMS. Now here comes the relational, right? For example, I have multiple tables. So I want to get a data from this, some amount of from this, some amount of from this. Then this picture came up. And then that is where this most of the, to very specific SQL we used, and it is the prominent SQL in terms of structured query languages. So we use these languages I was telling about, right? Retrieval, updation. So we will use this to retrieve the data or to update the data and all, right? So yes, definitely we use joins, because let's say we just need some part of data from table 1, some part from table 2, which is referencing to that. So we use join there. And it's, if I talk about where we use SQL, everywhere. For example, currently we have SQL also and NoSQL also. We will talk NoSQL later point of the slides. But it's like whenever we need to create the database, we need to read, we need to update, we need to define anything, we need this query languages, and it's highly robust. And you remember, you would be remembering your ACID properties, if anyone would have read about those databases: atomicity, consistency, isolation, durability. So your DBMS or your SQL comes, this is the main heart of that any SQL. It is based on those ACID properties, right? Now let's understand why cloud came into the picture. Now, if I want to understand the cloud, like the cloud is, as I said, very big. So I'm not going to talk about on servers, virtualization. You would have some session on those. My intention is, why should somebody from normal DBMS go to the cloud databases, right? So let's talk about some of the things. So let's say I am dealing into databases. Now, if I want to set up normally, let's say I'm not into cloud. If I want to set up normal databases, what do I need? I need to have some, you can say, let's say, for example, applications, which is using or accessing those databases. It can be anything, like, for example, Sybase, Oracle, HANA, any, just leave about backends. But I'm an application guy. I want to query something, right? Now let's discuss the challenges that generally have. Apart from I told you, right, benefits of high flexibility, SQL and everything that would be there. But what is the real time challenges when I'm working somewhere? So in terms of databases, let's say somebody's I was talking about banks only, right? So let's say now there would be a peak timing, like for example month closing. There would be time where when there is a some upgradation happening, or some bank is merging with some other banks. They recently you would have seen, right, so many government banks and all those things. Now their databases may merge. I'm not sure whether they are merging it or not, but in that case the hardware which was there at a centralized location or maybe at anywhere, it would be needing challenges, right? Suddenly, let's say for example, there would be time when, for let me take an example of, let's say there are websites, okay? Those websites, it's might possible that weekend people hit more in certain areas. For example, in evening they hit more. So we have to keep in mind there are so many things. For example, uh, when there is a key value pair, it makes best sense to use cloud database. Not only key value pair, but to very specific in terms of RDS also. We will talk more about AWS RDS and all those things. But it makes it when we need faster retrieval, when we need more throughput, when we need better things, it always makes sense, because traditional databases has most of the challenge, has major challenges in terms of your scalability, your elasticity, and your availability. Your scalability means, let's say you have 5 GB of databases. Now you're doing some work, you're updating the tables, you're adding the data also. Now it might be possible over the period of time, those 5 GB or 10 GB may reach to about to fill up. Now you have to keep on thinking that, okay, now it has reached to 80%. Let me add more. So that you have, if you are having one databases, you can easily manage. But let's just imagine people have, or organization, if I talk about, they have thousands, 10,000, even 10,000, even people have terabytes of databases. In those cases, real-time addition of more storage, more CPU, to very specific, it is not that much easy. It needs multiple approvals. For example, from finance department, then it goes to that, then you get more storage, and then you need people to add it. These cloud databases are very much flexible on those things. You can decide as per your requirements. If you want, for example, let's say, not only that, we will talk more about those real-time enhancements and real-time issues, but to very specific, one of the best thing that I like in cloud databases is, let's say you want to upgrade to better hardware, right? Now every hardware has certain life cycle. For example, this, if Oracle has released this version, let's say 11G or RAC, anything, then they know that this version is about to come in, let's say next year. Now every year they need some people to migrate from that particular database to the next one. As soon as that migration has finished, the new version has already come up. Again, they need some more people to migrate from that to that. So apart from storage, capacity, availability, you need these things also. Continuous upgradation, and it helps a lot, because if your database is into cloud, you're sorted. Everything is already there. Means if you want, you can take some part of that, but mostly if you can give everything to them, they can manage your most of the stuffs. For example, let's say talk about, let's say I have decided, now for example I have decided, okay, I'm going to put my database into cloud. It can be anything. For example, today we are only going to discuss about cloud in terms of AWS and Azure, right? But not only this, it is not limited to AWS and Azure. There are multiples. Currently, if I talk about this cloud infrastructure is huge. In terms of statistics, like for example, Economic Times, or if you go to Gartner, right? In 2019, it was close to, if I remember properly, somewhere around $250 billion. 2023, it is expected to become more than $500 billion. So you can just imagine the kind of infrastructure that people are going to put into clouds, the kind of application that people are going to put into clouds. Even 50 to 60% is already there. Almost 50 to 60% of the infrastructure that people are currently running. People in the sense of but big companies, MNCs, they're already started putting into clouds. So there are going to be huge jobs, there are going to be huge things. It would benefit to both people, right? So let's say I have decided that I'm going to put my database into AWS, for example. So now what I can do is I can just take their host and then I can start scratch building everything from starting from application, then starting from middleware, then starting from this much amount of storage, all these things also, and which amount of application I need, which type of memory I need, amount of CPU core. This I can also do. The other way is basically I can give everything to them also, where I just have a, for example, you can, the best example would be there, you already have a place, just go there and start using it. So starting from just basic taking their place and to giving everything to them to manage their flexibility, to manage their capacity, to manage their whatever databases is needed in terms of CPU, in terms of memory, everything can be managed by cloud, right? We will discuss more about it. So for example, let's say now I know that, okay, I want to set up. So for setup, people, for example, let's say if I want to become a database developer, I want to become a database administrator or database architect, anything, right? That's why we're discussing database today. So these are the profiles where we want to make our career, or where we want to make myself maybe certification also. So if I'm already into that, what are the basic things that those people do? What they do is basically I need to make contact with the application team to understand their requirement, that okay, for example, what kind of data amount or data processing that they are going to use, what kind of retrieval they are going to use. For example, let's say there may be real-time fast retrieval. There may be once in a while, for example, these data I am only wanting in, let's say, for example, in last 1 month and 2 months. So it all depends upon their requirement, right? Now they already have those platforms. For example, if you want something very fast, you can put it here. For example, something you want which will be accessing in, let's say, for example, 1 month, 2 months, you can access there. So they already have predefined things also. You just specify, start using it, right? So now let's say I have set up as per the requirement. Okay, this is the database that they're using. This is the kind of database that we are using. That is being done. Now, what is the next step? Now, once the database is set up, people started using it. Now the real-time challenges start coming up. Now, real-time challenges which we were talking in the initial, right? So, for example, let's say somebody is querying. Now, if multiple people are querying, what would be the first drawback, or what would be the first challenge that we are going to face is maybe it is slow. Maybe some, for example, if you know the databases, there would be TempDB, there would be user databases, right? So let's say TempDB is almost full, UserDB is about to reach full, or maybe query is not. So real-time challenges, query is not that much fast. StoreProc is not running throughput. So here what these cloud database gives you is, this gives you monitoring. For example, if I talk about Amazon, they have CloudWatch, right? It will keep on running and checking it also. For example, if I talk about Azure already have, there are so many things. For example, it will also check for you, like for example, your query plan is whether it's consistent or not. Query plan in the sense, how it is accessing from select to getting the retrieval of the data, how it is doing, or maybe update anything, what is the process that it is doing. You can understand in that way, and how it is bringing to you. So is it taking the best route to give the data? Is it taking the best, less optimization, less query cost? So they keep on checking everything, whether the indexes that I have created, as let's say I'm a database developer, as per the initial need, I have created some indexes on some tables in some of the columns, and it was working fine. But later I keep on changing the requirement also, right? But people don't go and update their queries. These where it will automatically keep you giving suggestions also, and there is a possibility that you can give the control to them also. They will modify also that kind of requirement that they do. So let's say, for example, if multiple people are using it, you may hit CPU usage, right? There are less CPU, it will add CPU for you. Let's say, for example, the indexing is not proper, it will give you suggestion that, okay, this particular table, this particular column needs indexes on these columns. It will give you those details also. So you see, this cloud makes our life better, easier, right? So we'll talk more about that in later points of. So how it does it, it will keep on sending you notification. Like for example, in real time companies, how it does work is you have to set up a monitoring system for everything. You have to set up monitoring for memory databases differently, which you need into real time, right? For your archival system, your storage would be different. Your real time databases, your storage would be different. So it will keep you giving those event notification that, okay, CPU is full, go and work on it. This things is full. You don't have to explicitly create a full team for that. Now, as I talking about, every year you have to plan for patching. Let's say if there is some release, there would be some bug always. There is no in this last whole development of databases, whatever database you pick up, whether it's Oracle, whether some or the other, because people's requirements are changing in this fast growth, right? They are keep on doing something or the other thing. And when we design the database, we don't design in terms of next 20 years, but we do design in such a way that it can always be altered, right? So this automatic software patching, it will keep on whatever new releases are there. You don't have to even think of. You know that this is the downtime. Even you don't need. Nowadays we have the biggest challenges that the people of the administrator facing, or maybe developer facing. Like in weekends, their database is not available because they would be running so many things, right? They would be maintaining the statistics. They would be maintaining the. You would be knowing the reorg and all those things, right? They run to keep the data properly. So it will, so that the next from Monday or from weekend, the retrieval would be faster. So here it would always be automatically. You can patch somewhere, you can put some data always available. This is also possible. So the famous engine that we were talking about initially also, right? If I talk about in terms of AWS also, most of these conventional DBMS that we were using, we all have access to here also. They in AWS, they have their own database engine. This is called Amazon Aurora. Really very fast, and it does everything that we need, that a database developer or architect need. Everything. Apart from that, if you talk about, they have obviously there is so many better comparison of their Amazon Aurora versus other RDBS engines. But to very specific, we do decide on the basis of our requirement. We cannot directly go and change all the hardware that we are using. So MariaDB, Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, it is doing everything. Now everything in terms of scalable. Let's say, for example, today I'm 80 GB, but I know that there is a let's say acquisition happen. One company got merged with another company. They know that maybe they have just bought it and they don't want their databases or their hardware directly to be, and they want that to migrate it to ours. Or maybe they suddenly some requirement came, some client came, and from their team, from 5 teams, there's almost 50 people working on the same instance. Now they need to develop or maybe triple up, quadruple up multiple things. So easily scalable. Automatic software patching, we already discussed. Backups. Now the biggest thing in any database is basically keeping your data safe and secure, right? Let's say any disruption happen. Why do we keep these backups? So that whenever there is a need where something has happened, or maybe they want to retrieve only those things. Let's say I've deleted some data, right? I just want particular those 2 days back data. Now you don't have to even worry about it. If you want, you can have a differential in terms of MS SQL Server. If I talk about, you can have a differential backup, you can have log backup, and you can restore till point in time. Till point in time, if you want, you can restore the data. Your database snapshot is like basically full snapshot of the databases running for that particular time. Yes, and it would be the storage is also very much easy in terms of snapshots, right? And then natural disaster, right? So in terms of databases, the other challenges that people face is basically, let's say, for example, you have a data center, right? Data center is basically where most of your data resides. Now people have multiple data centers. Let's say, for example, they have one data center in Asia Pacific, one in New York, one in your Europe, right? So now here what is happening is you can have multiple deployments inside also. For example, let's say I have a data center in Mumbai, I can have a replica of that into Mumbai also, and they would be real-time replicated, that kind of. And here, if I'm into cloud, I don't have to worry about it. How many times they're in whatever service I have taken, I would be taking utilizing the resources and paying it as per their. It is their headache to manage it, that they have to cap it at 3 location, 4 location. They have to cap it in one into Delhi, one into Mumbai. They manage everything. RDS, AWS manage everything, right? When they see that okay, host is something like, for example, it needs replacement, or Linux, right? They need to reboot, because the more we use, the more to very specific there are. Every process when it runs, it leaves some traces about it, right? So that's why there is always a maintenance. For example, sometimes people reboot on the weekly basis, some people wants on monthly basis, depending upon load. Here we have automatic replacement also. For example, this was the host, they need that, okay, now the Linux has a better flavor, you directly want that one, it would be there in the next patching, right? And the other most important part is encryption. Let's say you want to save and secure your backups, it go to storage, you need storage level encryption. And there are certain financial, for example, in financial domain, you need both. People do database backup level encryption also, and then they do a your basically storage level encryption also, so that it cannot nowhere in the place people can directly use it. And this provides everything you can think of, to be very specific, like. And I was talking about Amazon Aurora, right? So if you see here, it's like it's also a relational database only, right? So it's kind of whatever you run. I was saying, MySQL has surpassed most of the, if I just leave Oracle, MySQL in terms of usage wise, MySQL is almost now second times, right? So it is almost compatible to MySQL also, Postgres SQL also. And really it is almost 5 times 6 times faster than those databases. Faster in terms of, if you want to understand what is fast, is let's say retrieval of the data, updation of the data, right? And your not only that, whatever you are fetching, or you're doing some operation on those data, they have everything, right? And in terms of backups, if I talk about, is there in Amazon there are different types of backups, right? For example, there is S3 backup, so in storage level there is a Glacier backup, so you can do those things also. And in terms of read replicas, for example, people have prepared two kinds of databases, where one where they can do the real-time inserts, and they want that, okay, no other these things happen, they contain the replica of that, where they are only reading those data. So it's like wherever they are reading, it would be very much less lag between their update and read. So that kind of real fast things we already have in AWS, right? And whenever you do like decide whether you need to go for a SQL, or whether you need to go for a NoSQL. Now SQL was started, I was talking about, right, 1970s, right? NoSQL, it was there, I will not say that it was not there, but probably people started using in the industry, or started mentioning in the industries around 2000 somewhere, right? When we these people came all, AWS, and then your GPC cloud, Google Cloud, obviously 2002 around. But before that, AWS was means Azure was not even the picture. Azure came around 2009 or 10 somewhere, right? So let's talk about the SQL was something where everything is structured data. When I need that, okay, this is particular table is there, and this is with the relation, then it makes sense to go for a SQL, right? Like I was talking about, when you do care about your acid properties, again, atomicity, consistency, isolation level, it makes best use of it, right? When you know that you don't know your developers, you don't know what exactly they are going to query, that's why better to use SQL. But when you have fixed functions, when you have fixed, let's say, JSONs, when you have fixed key value pairs, it always, NoSQL doesn't mean that there is no SQL, right? It means not only SQL, it contains graphs, data, right? If you see the differences that we have put it here is simple. Here we have a table, here we know that, okay, for author, this, For format, this it's like key value function. We are just passing the function. We know that this particular data would be passed into two particular places. It will fetch for you. So NoSQL is really fast. It's to, you cannot even compare it. When you want a real-time fast-paced data, go for a NoSQL. But when you don't know, when you really care about the data, then people go for a SQL. So in cloud also we have both. Now there is a huge competition to very test specific. For example, Amazon DynamoDB, one of the best in terms of whenever these industries people they go for is, they always, not always, they mostly prefer, because it is means fully managed. And again I said, like other databases, you can fully manage this also. Fine grain access control, right? For example, you want this particular group to access with this particular security, with this particular IP, you can have granular level of access, and that's being possible here. So if I talk about use cases where this industry people are using it, so you can have, like for example, you can use into web applications, your microservices data store, mobile backends, technologies, gamings, this Internet of Things. Today's right, it's highly used worldwide, right? So not only IoT is like basically, if you understand, it's nothing like it also uses data only. Ultimately, heart of everything, like if you talk about machine learning, if you talk about IoT, it's like basis on the past data, I am predicting the future. What can be there? What would be the demand? What would be the exactly which particular things would be on? So that's why this DynamoDB or this NoSQL, they are being highly used on those areas, because today's generation is more about data. So that's why they are in huge demand nowadays. Now, other purpose built database services is not only this, for example, NoSQL or SQLs. People have, for example, data warehouse where I don't even care. I just care about lots of data. Means I have huge data, and that retrieval should be faster, both. So it's maybe a structured data, but I will, let's say, for example, I don't care about rows, maybe particular columns. This column is hugely. So people go for Amazon Redshift, and then your document DB, even graph, in terms of graph database, Amazon Neptune. It's highly used worldwide, right? So before moving ahead into AWS database migration surveys or something, any question till now? Any question what I have covered? Not in terms of other things. So that means either you are getting everything, or maybe that means maybe सब कुछ ऊपर ऊपर से जा रहा है. So I will take that maybe you are getting the things that I'm probably sharing to you. So let's talk about now. Let's say I have the database. I decided that maybe I want to.
Excuse me, Selen. Sorry for interrupt.
Yes, Sanket.
Sir, Selen, can you see the chat from some of the students ask some questions? So can you able to see?
Just a second.
One of Anurag.
I can only see one chat.
Right. One Anurag. Okay, fine.
Yes. So if you are there, can you unmute and ask your question? Because yeah, okay. So what is the difference between backup and snapshot, right? So Anurag. So Anurag, basically the backup is something, for example, let's say I have a database, okay? Now today, let's say, for example, I have built a database, it's into cloud. Now I want that, I know that it's being highly used. So there would be some transaction backup, and there would be something called full backup. I'm not talking about differential order, just mota understand. There would be full backup and there would be transaction backup. Now, backup in the sense, whatever database is there, I have taken the backup of that. Now, next minute, I have again taken the next transaction backup. So let's say, for example, in hourly basis, I'm taking the transaction level backup. When it and in let's say, for example, full day, one of the full backup. Now, this becomes your backup. But when I'm talking about snapshot is like copy of everything. Now snapshot is very specific. It would require huge your huge storage also, right? So you cannot have snapshot every time. So they do take, for example, in terms of cloud, if you want their snapshot backup, you do give it to them. But restoring the snapshot backup and restoring the database backup would be totally different. Snapshot is a copy of your whatever database was there. Backup is just your data. Snapshot, you includes your logins, your roles, whatever database contains, that comes everything into whatever your SQL server. Let's say talk about, if I talk about only one DBMS, let's say whatever SQL server has a have, everything what it has a memory and everything, that is part of the snapshot backup. But if you just need hourly basis, now in terms of snapshot, for example, when they are huge data, where I know I only want, let's say for example, I want to have the test of, let's say, last day's full backup, right? So I just need full backup and those things. But in terms of snapshot, if I talk about, you cannot run into every minute of those things. So you need a full backup, and then you need your transition backups to go there, so that you could, whatever test or whatever data you want to verify, you can do it. Making sense? I hope you would have got it. And the first question I did not get it, Sanket. What exactly it is?
Yes. Anurag, am I audible to you?
Yes, sir. It's audible.
Anurag, you are able to unmute. Please check your mic. You are able to unmute?
Yes, I'm unmute.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Anurag. So you understood what I said?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, please.
First question was, is sharding our job or their job? Is the infrastructure for sharding of the database?
Sharding, I did not understand. What do you mean by sharding?
That means in database management systems, we actually split the database in sharding, right?
Yes.
So that kind of thing, what's
You
that?
can, I understood. So it's like sharding in terms of partitioning you're talking about,
Yes.
right? Yes. So see, why do we do the partition, right? We do that partition generally because we want to access that particular database or particular table faster, right?
Right.
Now I already know it is up to them. Even they want to use partitioning, or they want to increase more memory, or they want to just put the hot particular pages into memory. It's up to them. You can give all those functioning to them. We can do partitioning from our side also, but why to take unnecessary things? Ultimately we do partitioning for the faster retrieval, right? You already give them to them that, okay, I need this particular databases, this should be always available, always, all the pages should be in memory only. You can have that also. So both things, if you want, you can do it from your side. If you want, give it to them, they will do it from RDS or maybe Azure. Clear?
Okay, got it.
Okay, perfect. Anybody else have any other question before I move ahead? So let me move ahead because already we are running short of time. Just a second. So continuing from here. Yeah. So we were there into AWS database migration service. So it's like basically now, let's say whenever we migrate, so there are, if you see the history, there are so many people, there are so many companies, there are so many times requirements come up, right? Where what we have done is now we have decided, yes, it is beneficial to go from non-prem to on-premises or maybe to cloud. We have decided. Now it might be possible that now you would be already a big company, right? Suddenly you want to migrate all your data because you cannot leave that. So they give that resources also. Not only here, people, let's say earlier, whether they were running into Oracle, now suddenly they know that, okay, it's better to move into this particular database into NoSQL. So they have the migration service and they do it. Here they do that also. For example, let's say you decided that your MS SQL Server database, and now it is best fitting into your Amazon RDS SQL Server. Now you need to migrate, they give that service also. So they have their migration service. Not only AWS, Azure also gives. See, whatever I'm saying, I'm not going to deep how to do that, because if you go and put a Google, let's say for example AWS cloud, how to migrate, you can get how to set up the database, how to initialize, everything is there. What my point of saying is this feature, this is already there. Let's say for example migration, when manually I would have done it, I can use their database services to migrate my Oracle database into, let's say for example Amazon Aurora, for my MySQL to, let's say, Amazon RDS from non. For example, let's say I just want to go into now I want to move particular this to, let's say, NoSQL or maybe Dynamo. I can do that also. So they give those services also. Now either I can have a database or I can have a full instance. So database instance in terms of in what I meant is I need one database only, right? Now, if you before moving to this, what is the other differentiation, or I would say maybe better? See, one of the basic things that I had in my mind is what is better. Like for example, AWS is better, Azure is better. That is a vast thing to discuss, right? But if you understand that if I want ultimately every cloud computing provider, they will give you virtualization, will give you full access, they will give you servers also, some or the other. Maybe if I talk about leaders, which is Azure and AWS has some benefit on the other things, Azure had some benefit on the other things, right? But whatever we have discussed till now, for example, let's say for example migration service, they have a migration service here also. Though in terms of scalability, availability, they have here also. If I talk about Azure, how they do is basically it's like a platform as a service, or maybe infrastructure as a service, software as a service, or platform as a service. So database comes under platform as a service in Azure, right? So where they have, for example, full same thing like upgrade. If you want to have an upgrade, you can do upgrade. If you want to have a patching, you can do patching. Backups, again monitoring. So they have a different type of monitoring here, but they also have, they suggest on indexing also. They also suggest on your basically CPU usage, hardware change, everything they will keep on suggesting you, right? So database was one database, and so for example there is something called elasticity or elastic. So it's like basically full managed instance where you can put one database, where you can put two database. So you don't care, you ultimately either put one database and pay for it, or you buy a full instance, put 10 database or one database. It's up to you. So generally this cloud concept, basically all how it works is pay as you go. Pay as you go means, let's say I have a database, right? Now I was saying that only on weekends it would be more used. But if I have already bought or purchased, let's say 1 TB of database, so it means I'm already paying 1 TB of database for daily usage, for daily, till how many, I don't know. Again, I have to increase. But here, what flexibility I get it, either I talk about Azure, or maybe I talk about RDS or AWS. It's like basically I know that on weekends it would be increased. I would be only paying maximum for weekends. I know that on basically evening I use more. I would be only paying for that. So it's like I will take that more into later part. Just a second. So how AWS to so fast then using AI technology? Yes, then please. We will talk more about it. Just a second. Let me cover this because it's a little bit different from that. So I would try to take that. Yeah, so it's like basically your 99.99% availability while whether I'm patching my OS or whether I'm patching my database, everything, right? So just a second. So if you see here, like basically your database, or in terms of Azure, it has a capability that is built for Azure SQL database to enable you domain specific database administration or maybe optimization activities. So if you know that this is your very critical, you can assign it. Like I was saying that in memory databases, where if I need more retrieval, I can put into everything into memory. The retrieval would always be fast, right? So let's say, okay, if I have again the same thing, the single databases, I just want to isolate so that nobody and no other groups, no other things can access it. I can do that. Even for example, if I want to have from 1 GB to even, for example, are currently 200 GB, 500 GB. Memory is also available. If I talk about hard disk, it's like basically 4 TB types of database hard disk is also available. So it's like either I can host one databases or I can have an elastic pool where I can host number of databases and all those things. Now, availability capabilities. As I was talking in AWS is similarly over here also. Again, backups, yes, definitely they also have automatic backups. They will keep on thinking that even you have a possibility also, for example, you know that okay, this things has run for this timing. Now I know that okay, this it has intelligent backup, means it knows that okay, it is not needed to have a, let's say, transaction backup. You can schedule that also, that okay, it will only have a full backup, and so it's like intelligent backup capabilities. So you don't have to take care of log and all those things. Again, point in time restores like we had in AWS, we can have it here also. So for example, point in time, I can have a exactly like I can specify this amount of time your database hardware failed, let's say hardware in terms of, let's say your hardware failed. Now you know that okay, you have to restore it. That's why we do this all, right? Data center, and we keep this replication. Ultimately, we need to have either I can switch it to my replicated environment, or if I want the same environment to be up and running again, what I can do is I can restore from that place, either from snapshot backup, from point in time. So with that particular timing, I can restore it again here also. Now they use active geo replication. Is one of kind of to very specific. You can have same thing like if you remember, they have a readable. I know that I am updating on this databases. I can have a readable replication here. So I can redirect all my queries. So what is possibility in AWS or maybe RDS is they balance the load. So I know that for read, I can have into read replicas. For write, I can have into those things also. So they have their, that's why even their data center is same. Even Azure, if I talk about, they have more data center as compared to AWS. Huge in statistics, almost 2 times or 3 times the data center that these people have. I will take up the question again now. Sorry. Just a second. Yeah. So moving ahead. Yeah. So as I discussed in AWS, same thing again in Azure also, we have automatic index management. So sometimes we do put the indexes on some queries. Over the period of time, they may change, the requirement may change, the query may change. It will keep on suggesting you use this, use on these columns, or even your plan correction. Now, plan correction means initially it was using this plan, but because of this statistics has been changed, or maybe some new columns has been added, so it will fix, even it fixes it also. So whatever you have that, now you would have seen what is the biggest threat that these people go through. Threats, right? Maybe basically your virus attack, or there are other things in terms of accessibility of the data, granularity of the data. So it AWS or RDS, they provide those people with those threat protection also. So they fully manage their vulnerability. They keep on detecting. They have the resources to run, right? They keep on detecting what might the threat arises currently. What is the vulnerability data? Whether you have not backed up from this timing, whether you should back it. Your particular host is not performing on those areas. You can have that. So you remember we have CloudWatch there. So we similarly we have in Azure also, right? So in the initial, we remember we were talking about, like for example, AWS Azure. So now the comparison which people took, right? Whether I should go for AWS. Let's say, for example, I'm not talking about companies, because companies will not make sense for most of the people that have connected here. But for people like you, what is the basic question comes up? Whether I should make my career into Azure, whether I should make my career into AWS, whether I should go for the certification of this, which would be the easier. So see, ultimately the concept is almost same. If there is a database, obviously it needs backing. If there is a database, it needs restoring. Or if there is a database, it needs retrieval. So basic concept will always be same. Now I need to decide as per, let's say, for example, let me talk about AWS only. So AWS is market leader. As I said, in 2002 it started. So many companies have already adopted. So many companies, right? It's a huge. If I talk about market share, it is huge. Maybe 40-50% is being currently managing by AWS only. But other people, for example, let's say Azure or GPC, they started very late, right? But they have the other benefit. So if I talk about, let's say, Azure as a brand, it's like Microsoft, right? So some company if already running Microsoft SQL Server, they have already taken the Microsoft so many things from Microsoft only. Now they will suddenly not switch to AWS, Amazon, right? Because they know that brand is coming from Microsoft, right? So real-time companies, real-time industries, they're always focusing on extending their support or extending their partnership with existing party people only. So they will go for. So you have a brand with Azure. So everything has a even in terms of growth. If I talk about, Azure has multiple fold. In by 2014-15, they were not having significant presence, but they kept on improving. They kept on improving. If I talk now about, I was already mentioning you, right, the number of data centers that Azure people are that Azure cloud is supporting is huge, right? And services, if I talk about, even they have surpassed. AWS is close to 200 services in terms of all whatever you can think of an application would be doing, AWS supporting. But 100%, if I talk about, is Azure is still leading. You cannot even think of whether AI or ML. We were talking about whether IoT, everything they support. Yes, so I will take the queries now. Yes, so if I would better suggest that can we if there is any question on what we have discussed, you can unmute and then ask. It would make sense to you for you to understand. And if you have further queries, I can elaborate also. Anyone?
Divyans. Hello. Divyans, you can ask your question directly. Unmute your mic.
Sir, I was asking that in case of natural disaster,
Yes.
let's assume a data center has been collapsed and my data had been residing there. So do they have to keep copy of everyone's data twice or thrice? Doesn't that make more traffic and use double or triple resources?
Okay, so they wants to understand to give you that answer. Let me tell you how it works. So when I take the licensing, right? So already they, for example, let's say we are into India, right? Let's say I'm into Bangalore and I have a data. I have, let's say, Amazon. I have a data center in Mumbai. I have a data center in Delhi. They are planning to have a data center multiple also, right? How this retrieval works? Even now they are working on availability zone to. They know that most of the users that currently are connecting, let's say from Delhi, they will have one of their availability zone around Delhi, right? But you don't have to take care. That they take care. So let's say now natural disaster has happened into, unfortunately, we don't want currently, but let's say in Delhi region or maybe India region, they already have a 3 availability zone inside the India also, right? And apart from that, they have a backup into, let's say, for example, Asia also, in NY also. So they can restore it from, you even don't get to know. Let's say, for example, I'm a client into New York. I even get to know there is a real-time switch. Now you were reading initially data from there. For example, let's say you're Ohio. Suddenly they know that there is some problem with that data center. It will automatically switch to your maybe New York, maybe your another data center. So that is they manage. You don't have to worry about whether they are managing everybody's database. Yes, whosoever is coming to cloud, they are managing. But as per terms of licensing and needs, these starts from your initial one. Whether you want your servers, whether you want your storage, whether you want what services you want, you can host them. But backup of the data, they will keep on doing it. Backup or whatever data you're accessing. Clear, Devansh?
Yes, sir. I got it.
Anybody else? Any other queries? See, so if I talk about is there are already free courses because most of the people that are connecting here is I would expect that they are students, right? you go and try your hand out into you can create your free account into AWS also, into Azure also. Try to, you can build a server. You can, let's say if you have particular inclination towards databases, you can go create databases, you can run your queries, right? And the best thing is, let's say for example, somebody asked me, right, jobs, we as a students or most of the people, why I picked that, I still remember I was not into databases, right? I was initially a developer, .NET developer and all those things, but I just thought that okay, कहते हैं ना, डेटा तो हमेशा ही रहेगा, डेटा तो कहीं नहीं जाने वाला, .NET में चेंज फ्रॉम सम अदर टेक्नोलॉजी और दिस टेक्नोलॉजी विल कम अप विद, बट डेटा तो सबको हमेशा ही चाहिए, तो डेटा चाहिए तो मतलब डेटाबेस चाहिए, राइट? सो इट्स लाइक बेसिकली रिलेटेबल. So for you guys, what makes sense is, if I talk about, is whether the knowledge which I have, I'm implementing it or not. You can go and have tons of knowledge about AWS and it's free. Let me tell you, you don't have to do any course also. There are so many free knowledge already put into internet. आज के डेट में हम इंफॉर्मेशन एरा में, राइट? सो मोस्ट ऑफ द इंफॉर्मेशन डेटाबेसेस के बारे में भी, क्लाउड कंप्यूटिंग के बारे में भी, you can have it enough information. But what makes it useful for most of the people that have connected here is how I can make a career over there, right? So let's say you can do certification, definitely, and certification is one of the stepping stone. पहला जो आप बढ़ोगे ऐसे, so try your hand out, try more. Certification तो कर लिया, you can have more practical knowledge by creating your free account, doing some testing, how to create a server, how to add some more capacity, how to add CPU, or how I can create my web application, my mobile application. You can even try out those things also. Even IoTs का आपको अगर कुछ रियल टाइम वो करना है, you can have those things also. So in AWS also, RDS also, they both have same capabilities. So yes, if we talk about job growth is, see, I already gave you the data, right? Just believe me, by 2023 or 24, right, even 60 to 70% of whatever infrastructure people does, IT में आज की डेट में अगर जो भी हो रहा है, even not only IT, other people also, even big banks, these people are also migrating their databases to there. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि automatically सब कुछ होता रहेगा. The one question which I had in my mind when these technologies around 2010-11 started coming up, I thought maybe अब तो फिर ये architect की जरूरत पड़ेगी नहीं, administrator की तो जरूरत पड़ेगी नहीं, बट पड़ेगी अब, लेकिन वो कन्वेंशनल वे वाली नहीं पड़ेगी, अब डिफरेंट तरीके की रिक्वायरमेंट पड़ेगी, राइट? बिकॉज एप्लीकेशन से कॉन्टेक्ट तो करना पड़ेगा, एंड दे एज पर देयर रिक्वायरमेंट वी हैव टू मैनेज, वी हैव टू सॉल्व, where those things will keep. So most of the jobs will switch from non-premises to this cloud jobs. That's why you would have seen cloud solution architect and all these new. So tons of jobs are coming, tons of jobs. How I can decide is, I can definitely go into AWS, I can definitely go into Azure. जो अच्छा लगे उठा लो. इसके अलावा there are so many competitors coming up, but definitely these two are market leaders and they are doing so well. Whatever you want to do, whatever people used to do it physically on their offices, in terms of, I'm talking about backends, not so development तो अभी भी चाहिए होगा उन databases में. So there are tons of jobs coming. So if you go for any this certification into AWS, Azure, it will definitely give you a good start of the career, and there are huge paying jobs. Definitely for freshers, if I talk about, is अच्छा पैसा है. Anything else?
Hello, Salim.
Yes, Ankit.
So all participants, this is an interactive session between an audience. So please ask, feel free, any question, any real your queries, ask, feel free, please. And
Yeah,
Salim,
because
this is my request, please. Yes, yeah.
yes, Ankit,
Salim,
please tell me.
so few students ask me so many times what is the basic steps to build a career in the cloud or a cloud database. So please just guidance our students what is the basic steps to build a career in this field, and what is the basic certification or which types of jobs are available in this field. This is very beneficial for our students, please, if
Yes,
it's possible.
definitely.
Salim.
So yeah, got it, Sanket. So as I said, let's say for example, first what we need to decide as a student, or maybe as a, if I want to make my career into cloud, to be very specific. So first thing I need to decide is whether I want to go for AWS or Azure. I can go into other also, but these two would be beneficial for most of the you, because simple है यार, जिसमें अब जैसे मैं AWS की बात करूं, already most of the companies have already established their presence, right? So market share तो ज्यादा, ये तो ज्यादा jobs तो उसी में आएंगी. But if I talk about हमेशा उसी में रहेंगी, not sure. Azure can also surpass even the other clouds. They are also coming with, they are also migrating their hardware from normal to that one. So first I need to decide where I want to go, which one. Let's say I've decided I want to go into Azure. I'm just giving an example. I'm not here to promote anyone, because for me it's all equal, right? I used everything, whatever is there in free. So now let's say as a student, if I have decided that yes, I want to make my career into cloud, and I have decided that I want to go into Azure, now they have the certification level. So always go with the basics, right? So you can select there whether basically basic cloud solution architect, and you don't have to go into specific databases, because database की understanding के लिए पहले आपको proper cloud computing की understanding आनी चाहिए, right? So have more understanding on clouds, basically how this metrics works, how this notification works, how to create virtualization, right? And कैसे job role आगे रहेंगे, right? So for example, let's say कि जैसे DBA का काम रहता है, right? Now DBA में कैसा change हो जाएगा? So DBA का जो काम था वो सब कुछ काम तो रहेगा, मैं ऐसा नहीं बोलूंगा, बट अल्टीमेटली वर्क चेंज हो जाएगा. फॉर एग्जांपल लेट्स से इनिशियली कन्वेंशनल डेटाबेसेस में क्या होता है, somebody is accessing a data, right? He face some issues, he will raise a ticket to, let's say, DBA or whatever support team they have. Now that support team will come and pitch in, he will check the basics, he will check the data server which was running, if there is any errors or something, right? अब ये वाला जॉब नहीं रहेगा, right? Because if what I have done is I have automated all these parts. Now there is something called cloud currently running. Let's say for example a process, for you to understand, a process is running which is picking up all those things, right? कि यहाँ पे ये TempDB full होने वाला है, यहाँ पे your database is about to full, यहाँ पे your CPU is about to hit 100%, right? So it will already give you suggestions, right? But what new jobs is coming up is हमें कौन सा databases move करना चाहिए, कहाँ मूव कर दिया है तो और क्या ऐड कर सकते हैं, राइट? इवन टू वेरी स्पेसिफिक, इफ आई टॉक अबाउट इज हाउ पर्टिकुलर फील्ड, लेट्स से फॉर एग्जांपल कि इनका कोई एक डेटाबेस यहाँ पे चल रहा है, व्हाई मूविंग फ्रॉम SQL टू नो SQL विल बेनिफिट. सो दीज आर द न्यू जॉब्स दैट इज कमिंग अप, एंड दिस विल ओनली मेक सेंस टू students when they understand the full concept of cloud, right? So definitely there are so many cloud DBA roles now coming up, right? So people are moving existing databases to कौन सा मूव करना चाहिए, कौन सा नहीं करना चाहिए, कौन सा किस टेक्नोलॉजी में ज्यादा बेनिफिट रहेगा. तो डीबीए का नॉलेज होगा, लेट्स से फॉर एग्जांपल, तभी दे पाएंगे ना. अगर आपको डेटाबेस लेवल पे नॉलेज होगी तभी आप सजेस्ट कर सकते हो ना उनको. सो इट्स लाइक इफ आई टेल यू लेकिन स्टार्टिंग फेज फॉर एनी ऑफ द स्टूडेंट वुड बी डेफिनेटली चूजिंग व्हाट टू डू, वेयर टू मेक माय करियर, decide. And let me be very much open again, reiterating, you can decide any. AWS भी मार्केट में डिमांड है, उसके अलग बेनिफिट है, Azure के अलग बेनिफिट है, दोनों में ही कैरियर बना सकता है आदमी. मैंने Azure डिसाइड किया या AWS डिसाइड किया, उसके हिसाब से फिर बेसिक लेवल पे फाउंडेशन सर्टिफिकेट्स हैं, देन आई कैन गो टू नेक्स्ट लेवल, देन आई कैन गो टू प्रोफिशिएंट लेवल. सो सब है. सो एज पर सर्टिफिकेट्स, एज पर योर नॉलेज, देयर आर ह्यूज जॉब्स कमिंग अप फॉर फ्रेशर्स आल्सो, एंड for obviously I don't see any experience. I would expect that कि यहाँ पे वैसे कोई एक्सपीरियंस पीपल नहीं होगा, पर लोग अभी भी प्रोफाइल चेंज कर रहे हैं फ्रॉम नॉर्मल कन्वेंशनल डेटाबेसेस, दे आर लर्निंग एंड दे आर मूविंग टू योर DBA roles or maybe your database architect role into cloud also. Sakshi, I hope I answer Sakshi and Sanket.
Yes, sir. So there is a question in the chat box. During lectures, we face a communication from students. What is the difference in job role of DA and DBA? Because generally, students get confused in these two terms.
अच्छा, DBA तो पता है. DA, what do you mean by DA? Basically, database analyst, you are saying?
Sir, data administrator.
Data administrator.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, database administrator and data administrator. अच्छा. So data administrator is totally different and database administrator is totally different in terms of, let's say, let me give you an example. Now DA is mostly into analyst part. So for example, there are so many roles coming up where we analyze the data,
अब डेटाबेस एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर का काम डेटा का एनालिसिस नहीं है. डेटाबेस एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर का काम है कि जो मैं बैकअप लेता था, जो मैं सीपीयू लेवल पे सजेशन देता था, जो मैं whatever things I used to suggest to my clients for their query enhancement, आज के डेट में जो क्लाउड कर रहा है, राइट? सो DBA used to give this suggestion personally. अगर जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल इनिशियल पीपल आस्क, लेट्स से देयर इज अ हार्डवेयर फेलियर, a DB has to jump in, he has to fix that hardware failure to maybe अगर replicas है तो replicas से restore करना पड़ेगा, and they have to again give the access, they have to onboard it. This was a proper DBA work. But DA role is basically analyzing the data. For example, आज के डेट में जो machine learning और ये सब कर रही है, क्या कर रहे हैं? Based on the data that we have, we are predicting the future. So that is the, like for example, data analyst or data administrator role. करंटली डीए नाम से जो कोई रोल नहीं होता, लेट मी वेरी फ्रैंक टू यू, कि डीए नाम से आपको कोई स्पेसिफिक रोल या आज के मार्केट में जॉब नहीं है. सो इट्स लाइक डेटा वेयर पीपल आर प्लेइंग विद मोर एंड मोर डेटा, सो यू कैन हैव lots of jobs into DA also, DA fields, because आज के डेट में डेटा ही डेटा तो बढ़ रहा है हर जगह. If you talk about initially, सब डेटा का ही खेल है. So there are so many roles for just for data, and DBA would be totally where you work on specific databases. Maybe जहाँ पे database engine की हमने बात करी थी, like Maria, MS SQL, NoSQL, anything. So that is a DBA.
Okay. Thank you
Sakshi,
so
clear?
much, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Anything else? So I hope I would have given you some basics about where to start your career, how this databases work, and yes, definitely there is a huge scope. If you still feel that yes, there is any question which is too very specific left, you can get in touch with your Shakshi or Sanket. I've given them my Facebook ID, my LinkedIn ID. You can ping me. I will definitely on the spot response nahi aayega, but whenever I see your message or anything regarding, I will definitely revert to you people.
Salan,
हाँ जी.
one participant, Samiksha Khandelwal, is asking some question, but her voice is not audible, I think.
Can you
So,
repeat her question?
Samiksha, can you type your question in chat section, because your audio is not audible. So you can ask your question on chat section. Samiksha? Yes.
Yeah, Samiksha, you can write, or maybe.
This chat section is enabled, so you can, okay, chat, okay, right, fine. Now you are able to write your question in chat section. Samiksha. Okay, fine.
Am I audible now, sir?
Yes, Samiksha, we can hear you.
Okay. Sir, I wanted to ask that there are two editions available, web edition and business-based edition. So which editions we should use for which scenarios?
Can you repeat your question? Sorry, I didn't get it.
Sir, there are two editions, like web edition and business-based edition. So which edition should be used for which purpose? I wanted to know about.
So see, web edition is mostly for learning and all, right? So where I just want to have start my learning, where I want to just do practice or something, this is for web editions. Business edition is that you have a business and you want to reciprocate all the scenarios over there. So people choose business editions for this.
Okay, sir.
Clear?
So like if I'm doing a startup, so I cannot use web edition for that purpose.
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है, but it will not make sense, right? Now, see, there would be totally different mindset for an organization. Let's say, for example, I'm heading an organization, right? I'm thinking I have two people, and I'm thinking my current databases to move into clouds, right? So I would be कहते हैं ना क्या वो replica बनाऊंगा मैं अपने पूरे business का जो requirement होगा. So it will always make sense to go into business, right? But if I want to just explore, practice, and all those things, basics, so it will always make sense for web editions.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Welcome. I saw another hand raised, but I forgot that. Anybody else have any queries or something?
So, anyone ask any question, please raise your hand or directly unmute your mic. Okay. So Ayushi Ayushi Malvi, I think.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you ask any question? You ask.
No, sir. Everything is quite clear to me.
Okay,
Explanation is really good. So
okay, fine,
I don't have any.
fine. Okay.
So I suppose the basics would be clear, but yes, there are you. It will always make sense when you repeat those things. So go read in Google's if there is any questions, queries. Have my LinkedIn, have my Facebook, ping me there. I will definitely revert you there. Okay. Sakshi, anything else?
Sakshi.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for the valuable insights and kindness to find the time from your busy schedule to interact with us. We look forward for the similar opportunity. Moving to the session, I request Mr. Sanket Gupta, Assistant Professor of Medicaps University, to propose vote of thanks. So,
Thank you, Sakshi. I Sanket Gupta, Assistant Professor of Medicaps University. I would like to thank to Mr. Shailendra Tiwari to share your valuable information and obviously valuable time for us. So thank you, Shailendra. And I also thank to our head of the department, Dr. Suresh Jain sir, who is the pillar of our department, because without his support, it is not possible to conduct such wonderful webinar. So I also thanks to Dr. Suresh Jain sir and all the participant also. They are listening very patiently and participate very. And I also thanks to all the my colleagues that have support me the entire event and Sakshi also. So once again, I would like to thanks Mr. Shailendra Tiwari on behalf of all the Medicaps family. Thank you, Shailendra. Thank you, Sakshi.
thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Now, before ending the session, I would like to inform all the participants that e-certificate will be issued through your registered email ID soon. Now, it's time to call off the session with a hope to meet soon in the initiative. Thank you for being a part of the session. Thank you.